start.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie Mandy, I think.
And I'm here with my bestie Jessica. I'm ready for today's topic of stranded because some of my peeps are stranded in the snow, but some are stranded on islands.
So yeah, like Mandy said, today's video is all about survival and stranded romances. So let's do that. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We are still doing our Road to 1K giveaway, and we have lots of things planned for 750 to 1,000. You're going to want to be a part of that, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Remember, we give away free books, so that's important.
And we're fun.
And we're fun. Yeah. So this is all stranded and survival type romances. So in these books, the hero and heroine, for whatever reason, are either stuck on an island, or they're stuck in the wilderness, or they're stuck in their vehicle, but they're all stuck and stranded in a situation that they didn't intend to be there, and they have to survive that situation. So yay! This is one of my favorite tropes, but this is really hard to find a good book. These are hard. These are really hard ones. So, okay. So I will get us started.
Okay.
So the first book that I have is Dane's Storm. This is by Mia Sheridan. So this is about Audra and Dane. And when they were really young, they were married like right around, senior year of high school type situation. And then a tragedy happened and they have since gotten a divorce. So now Audra runs a business where she's a wedding planner. She has this building that she runs her business out of, and she has other people's businesses within that building to help her. They're all things to facilitate wedding planning. And she gets a message that Dane is selling this building. This was gifted to her during their divorce, and now she's being told that they're going to sell it, and she's not sure what's going on. And so she flies from, I think she's in Colorado, but she's in the Midwest. She flies to California where Dane is at to be like, what the heck? Because she's been trying to call him and she can't get through to him. And so when she sees him, he's like, okay, this is interesting. Let me go back with you to the hometown, to Colorado. So they board a private plane and they fly back. And that is when their plane crashes. And it forces them to deal with their trauma that they've gone through as a couple and their relationship while trying to survive the mountains and nobody else around. So loved this one. It was so good. Emotional, but good. Definitely check trigger warnings. Very, very emotional. Okay. Tell me about your first.
Okay. My first one is snow related.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Storm by Carrie Ann Cole.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is book 1 in the Ashes and Embers series. Love the series, and Storm starts it off really well with a snowstorm. So Evie has been in kind of what I would describe as a stale relationship for about 12 years. It seems like she's putting in the work, and boyfriend travels a lot for work and just really doesn't seem to be that interested in her. And she ends up having to go on a work trip. And she's kind of upset that he doesn't offer to like go with her or drive her. And so she drives herself and she takes a wrong turn following that GPS. Or I think she's going, like she's taking a shortcut or something. And it starts to storm like a snowstorm. And she gets stuck out in the middle of nowhere and she has no idea where she's at. She's on her way to this work thing. So she's wearing like high heels and just not dressed for the weather. And along comes Storm in his truck and he sees her stranded there. So he offers to give her a ride. And she really has like she has no other option but to accept. And like, so she goes with him. And the snowstorm is so bad. Like he's trying to make it back to his cabin up there. And the snowstorm is just so bad that he ends up getting stuck in like a snowbankment, and he's like, well, we're just gonna have to stick it out here. So for 48 hours they spend in the back of this truck I absolutely loved it. She has some things to think about because Storm is making her feel things that she's not really felt before. And yeah. Oh, and she does not know that he is in a famous rock band.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah,
kind of.
that one for me, I was like, where do you go pee? Because which I think
Well,
she does
he
go at
had
one
to
point.
carry her. He
Huh?
carries her out of the truck because she's in high heels so she can
Yeah,
pee on the side of the, like, in the
out in
side
the
of the,
snow.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he
Yeah,
carries her.
yeah. I remember that. I remember going, yeah, that would be interesting. I'd be worried about farting, but that's okay. That's a different thing. Yeah. Okay. So then my next book is called Withering Hope, and it is by Layla Hagen. This is a romance where they crash in the Amazon jungle. So this is about Amy and Tristan. So Amy is on her way to her wedding. Her fiance's family owns property somewhere there in South America, and that's where the wedding is going to happen. He's already there, the fiance's already there, but she's a lawyer and she couldn't leave. The fiance is very wealthy, obviously, but she couldn't leave town to get down there when they did. She was on a big case, she had to stay behind, and so Tristan stayed behind with her. He is her driver, he works for her husband, and he's also a pilot, and so he stays behind with her, and then he's flying her down for her wedding a few days, a day or two before the wedding, when their plane crashes in the Amazon jungle and they have to survive. It is the rainy season and they are, the Amazon is huge. It's absolutely huge, but they're kind of like on this knoll where they can't trek out because it's surrounded by water, and it has to, in the dry season it drains. And I've seen this, my husband's been to the jungles in Peru, so I know what that looks like. So like you've got the water that just surrounds them and they can't go anywhere. So you have illness, you have injuries, you have animals, you have these two, and they're in the jungle together for quite a while. So I liked it a lot.
Okay. I'm
Yep.
glad you liked it a
Thank
lot.
you. Yes.
All right. My next one continues along with my snow theme, and it's called Into the Storm by Melanie Moreland. And this is about Joshua. Joshua is an author. He's quite wealthy, but an incident happened in his life that has made him terrified of leaving his property. So he lives kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Everything's fenced in, and he will move around on his property, but he is terrified to leave his property. So he has an assistant who brings him groceries, who takes things back and forth from him for him to town and things like that. Well, one day there's a storm and we have Elizabeth, and Elizabeth is on the run. And she's made this plan, but while she is driving during the snowstorm, she gets kind of turned around and she ends up crashing her car into Jonathan's driveway property area. And excuse me, Joshua, not Jonathan. And she ends up crashing her car on Joshua's property. Well, Joshua finds her out there and brings her into his house because he doesn't really know what else to do with her. And the thing is Elizabeth doesn't remember why she's running. She has forgotten a little bit of her memory. And so she has no idea what she's doing there. And Joshua is terrified to leave. So they kind of end up stuck there together for a little bit during this storm. And let's just say maybe Joshua likes some company.
Okay.
Maybe Elizabeth likes being there. I don't know.
Okay.
Read it. It was really good.
All right. I've had that on my TBR for a while.
Oh, you should read it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my next book warms things up. Apparently, Mandy's giving you the cold ones. I'm giving you the warm ones. So this one is called Uncharted by Julie Johnson. This one is about 17-year-old Violet. She has been hired on to be a nanny for a couple who have a little girl, and they're going to be traveling the South Pacific through the summer. The husband is a developer, and it's a business trip. He's developing a resort. And so he and all these guys are they're going, the family's going as well. So she is hired on to be the nanny for the little girl. She's never met them. It is through friends of a friend that she got the job. And so she's at the airport and she's going to get her bag to go and meet them at the private jet that they're going to take, part of the way, and in California. So she went from the East Coast to California, where she meets up with them and meets them for the first time. And she goes to get her bag and she goes to grab it off the carousel when somebody else grabs the bag at the same time. And this is 30-year-old Beck who grabs the bag. Now, Beck and her have this similar type of bag, and so they fight over it. And then she realizes that she's the one in the wrong, and she apologizes and goes on her merry way and meets with the family. And she's sitting down meeting with the family when, lo and behold, Beck comes walking in behind her. And he's gruff, he is rude, he is definitely our grumpy hero, and he is also going on the trip. He is a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer, and he has been hired to work with the family as well. And so they take off and they're on their way to the South Pacific, but their plane doesn't make it. And they're stranded on an island, him and her. Big old age gap. So that kind of slows them down, but they're on an island by themselves.
This sounds like some stuff I need to go read. Like,
I'm
telling
you, it's good stuff. Okay, what else you
got? Okay, so now we're moving into the sun.
Okay.
Okay, Desert Island by Olivia T. Turner. This is about Carson and Bridget. Carson has been on this island for 8 years. He's been stranded there, just trying to survive. And he purposely went to the island, but the person who can get him off the island never shows back up. So he's stuck there for 8 years. And Bridget works in the Caribbean, and she flies planes to do deliveries. And she is supposed to be delivering a whole bunch of blow up male dolls for a bachelorette party out on one of the islands somewhere. And so while she's doing that, her plane crashes, and she uses Jeffrey, one of the blow up dolls, as her like life raft kind of, and she washes ashore on Carson's island. And let's just say Carson is very excited to see somebody, and he is very much in love with her. There's a very funny part with the blow up doll being used as a pillow and certain anatomy parts being present. So the book, I really enjoyed it. I think it's important to keep in mind that it is very insta-lovey with Carson, like seeing her and he's in love, but he has been stuck on this island for 8 years, and a woman just washes up on shore.
Christmas! Yeah, we'd all be insta-lovey if that was the situation.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, so the next book that I have is called Surviving Rain, and it's by Shay Savage. So Shay Savage wrote Transcendence. And if you guys have read that, then you know that it is told completely from the male's POV. And that is what she does in this book as well. So this book is told completely from the male's POV. I absolutely loved it. So this is about Sebastian, or Bastian. And he is the captain of a schooner, and he takes wealthy people out on these trips, on these day trips, all the time. And he ends up getting caught in a storm, and young Rain is on his boat, or on the neighboring boat. It's been a while since I read it. Anyhow, he ends up getting caught in the storm. Rain's there. He saves Rain. They end up on an island. Here's the deal. He is an alcoholic, and he is so sick. He has to go through the withdrawals because the guy has trauma. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and that all has to get dealt with when you're sitting on an island trying to survive with this young girl. And young, I mean, late teens, early 20s, young girl, and you've been through some trauma, and you don't have any more alcohol or cigarettes. And those are his two vices. So he is a complete grump because that's what, he's going through withdrawals. And I know that there is a novel that goes along with this one. after this one, and I think it's after they're rescued, but I haven't read that one yet because I was happy with the way that this one wrapped up at the end. But I did, obviously I loved this one too. I love it when they're stuck on an island somewhere, but I want it to be realistic. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
My next one is called On the Island by Tracy
Garvis Grape.
Graves.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like one that's been around for a long time, but it's really good. And then I also highly recommend reading Uncharted, which is like a novella that you need to read afterwards, but it's really good. I highly recommend adding that on to your TBR. So this is about Anna and TJ. Anna is 30 and TJ is 16. TJ has had, I think it was cancer, and he's been in remission for like 3 months. So his family is going off to this island for the summer, and they hire Anna to come with them to tutor TJ so he can make sure that he's like caught up to where he needs to be in school for the fall. So for whatever reason, the family goes ahead of time and Anna and TJ come behind after everybody else. And so they are on a separate flight, and then they get there and then they have to take like a little C type plane to the island. Well, as they're flying, their pilot has a medical emergency. I think it was like a heart attack, and their plane crashes and the pilot does not make it. And they end up kind of washing up on this island. And they full-heartedly believe that somebody is going to come rescue them soon, but they end up there for a really long time. And they survive together. And then after I think it's actually a couple of years before they finally start to kind of give in to some feelings that they have for each other. And it's really important to keep in mind, like, she's significantly older than him. She has, I think, a fiance back home. Wasn't it a fiance or a boyfriend?
It's been a long time. She's got something. I know that things don't happen between them until he turns 18.
Yeah, it's a couple of years that they're stuck there before things happen, because they honestly thought that they would get rescued right away.
Mm-hmm.
And they're there for quite some time.
Yes. Yes. Well, that's what happens
It's
in
very good though.
It's very good. I'm a sucker for these, like, stranded on an island. These are, like I said, they're hard to find. Really good ones are hard to find. So this is like, I love this trope. So my next book, I'm going to tell you guys right now that this book is probably going to be one of my top reads of the year, as far as like within the number 1 or number 2 spot.
Unseen Messages.
Unseen Messages. I read this in February and I still think about it constantly. So this is by Pepper Winters. This is a thicker boy, but it is worth every second. So this is about Estelle. She's from Australia. She's in the States for the summer. She had a YouTube video that went viral. She is a singer-songwriter. And so she's on a little tour in the United States. And now she's on her way home to Australia. She's leaving California. She's going to go to Fiji, then from Fiji to Australia. And when she's at the airport, she meets Galloway. Galloway is headed to Fiji. He has been through some pretty rough stuff, and he's going down there to build some houses. He's gotten a job to build these houses. I kind of felt like Habitat for Humanity, but he's getting paid to do it, and he has to be there by a certain date. Then at the airport, she also meets a family who have the same last name as her. There's a husband and a wife, and their young son and daughter. And so they make the comment that, they have the last name, like they think they're traveling together, and she's like, no, we're not. And so they call this Unseen Messages because as she's getting to the airport, her ticket was actually for the next day, not the day that she was supposed to fly home on. So that was messed up. When she goes through TSA, she gets stopped. There's some things that happen with TSA. Then when she goes through customs, there's something that happens in customs with her passport and stuff. And then there's something that happens when she goes to try and board the plane. So there's all these messages along the way trying to keep her from getting on the plane. And she talks about how doesn't pay attention to those. If she'd only paid attention to those messages, because at some point in time, her plane crashes, or her connecting plane. There's a crash. There's a crash on an island outside of Fiji, and she is stranded on this island with Galloway, and this is their story. There's, oh my gosh, like this is one of those things where a lot of the times when you get one of these books, it'll be like, oh, so and so was a survivalist, and no, that's not what happens here. Nobody's a survivalist. Nobody knows what they're doing. They have to bury the bodies. They have to, like, there's all these crazy things. They don't have the equipment. And when I say they're here, like on the island, they were there for several years. In this book, they're there for maybe double that, if not more. They're here for a very, very, very long time. Galloway and her have a very hate to love situation going on, but they have to work together. And Galloway is injured. She's the one that has to step up and start taking care of what needs to be taken care of right away. So I just, oh my God, this book, you guys know that I never cry. I cried in this book. If it wasn't such a big bastard, I'd be doing another read through, but it's a big one right now. So this book consumed me when I was reading it. So if you can find something this good to recommend to us, I will take it and read it in a heartbeat. But it's so good.
So this is my last one, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my last one is called Cocky Bastard by Penelope Ward and Vi Keeland. And this is about Chance and Aubrey. Aubrey is moving across the country and she's in her car and she's at like a big gas station convenience store place and her car breaks down. And there is this guy on a motorcycle who's there and they end up like they're traveling basically to California. And so they end up agreeing to travel together to California. Okay. So you got to kind of go with like that. Maybe this isn't the smartest idea, but this is what happens. So just go with it. So this is the story because this is why I picked it as being stranded because her car is broke down in like the middle of the country and she's on a time crunch to get across the country. And so is he. So this is their story of how they travel across the country and slowly start to fall for each other. But the story goes in a completely different direction than what I thought it was going to go in. And I loved it. I was so emotional. I cried during this story. It was so incredibly good, but I can't tell you anything. I don't want to give anything else away, but the road trip that they have together is a lot of fun too. There's like hilarious moments. It's just really good. It's a very good read, but very emotional.
Okay. Megan's yelling in the hallway.
I hear it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have a bonus rec for you guys. It is bonus rec time because I couldn't decide to narrow this down to 5. Because like I said, I do love this trope, but it's really hard to find. So the next one is called Island Captive, and it's by Jane Henry. I forgot I had this one until I was going back through the books that I read in 2020, and this one popped up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that one. So this is about Adrienne, and she works for our government, and she apprehends criminals who have gone AWOL. And then you have Dom, or not Dom, you have, I didn't even write down his name. You have our hero. He has been accused of murdering someone. He was a Dom, and his sub died while they were in the middle of a scene, and he has been accused of her murder. And so Adrienne and her partner fly to, I think it was South America or in the Caribbean. They fly and pick him up. They go to get him to bring him back to America to face justice. And while on their way, their plane crashes. And they crash on an island, and they are the only 2 survivors. Now, he don't want to be rescued. Why would he? He's going to go back and face, charges. And then there's also the question of, did he actually do that, or what happened? So there's a lot of mystery involved. This is my first survival romance, and obviously I loved it. So pick this one up. This is your bonus rec.
Adds a different twist to the whole stranded.
Exactly. So All right, guys. So that is what we have for you for stranded and survival romances.
All right. In those comments, leave us a comment and just let us know, do you like this trope, the survival stranded romance trope? And what are some of your favorite reads in this trope? If you don't like this trope, tell us. Tell us what bugs you about it. And if you like it, why do you like it? Tell us what you like about it. So leave us all those bookish comments down below and make sure to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us. And during 2023 through the rest of this year, so just about a month, join us on Wednesdays for Romance School 101.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.